Did you sign in? Did you want to speak? Okay.
Call this meeting to order at 6:01.
Right on.
Going there, right? Bringing that back up?
Yeah.
All right, excuse us for passing out last minute information. So, first on the agenda
Sorry, I got two of them. There we go.
is approval of the minutes of February 2020.
So moved.
So moved to do what?
Approve the minutes, please.
Thank you. Do we have a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. Well, I was late. I have to hurry up. Any interested citizens today?
You said no.
No?
He's just
All right, thank you.
quiet, interested citizen.
Old business. Grant request?
No, we don't have that.
That's been removed. That's what I
Well,
thought.
it's not removed, just put it to next week or next month.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here next week. Memorial policy. That short document that Shannon sent us.
Does anybody need a printed copy? I would love one.
Yeah, how many do you have? I'll take one.
Four.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Thank you.
That's his staff report and the final, this here, okay. Anybody else, you all in the chair, you good?
Sounds good.
If you want it, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any discussion?
So,
Yes,
just to push this.
Nope.
Shannon put together your guys' list of ideas and whatnot, and kind of merged it all into one nicely written, I feel, donation and naming policy. He made some suggestions. There was a little wiggle room still, and basically he made some suggestions about regarding the part where the donor would maintain the item that was donated. Brought up some good points about, what does that look like? Will they truly maintain it forever? What would that entail as far as, the tasks of maintaining it? And there was some risk involved with that. So it's up to you guys, but his suggestion was get rid of that, not have it in here. So if something's donated, staff will just maintain it. With that, I would say staff can just be a little more careful about what we allow being donated into a park. If it's something that's just crazy high maintenance that you don't see in a park, then we'll probably just politely say, no, is there, here's some other ideas that maybe would fit better within that park.
So your position would be the filter?
The what?
Your position, you're not going to be here forever, would be the filter on what we would or would not accept?
Yeah, it's Bill and I would be, but whoever's in our positions, yeah.
Okay.
And that's kind of, a lot of times that's an infield decision, If people come with us with ideas, and I like to meet them on site and actually take a look at what it is they're thinking, where exactly they're thinking about having it, it's not necessarily just something done over the phone. I always like to take a look at it out in the field because, there could be something that we notice in that park, like, oh, you want a rose arbor right next to a soccer field, like, that doesn't really make that much sense, like in this particular situation. But then there's also, because we're talking about the rose arbor, that's what started this whole conversation, that's a plant that takes a lot of maintenance during its growth season. You really want to prune that about every 3 weeks, and that's not something we would generally, our park staff would have time to do for that particular plant, where we prune things more spring and fall. And unfortunately, we're trying to just keep the grass mowed and a lot of other tasks. So we'd probably politely not accept something like that in that location in the future. But obviously maybe steer them towards a tree, where a tree can grow for a long, long time. It takes minimal maintenance. You can still have a plaque near it, something along those lines. But it's up to you guys.
Yes, Matt?
So one of the additions that we talked about in the draft language, so the first thing I think we probably want to address is under 6C, where the suggested change is to remove immediate and change to appropriate. That was the city attorney's suggestion. I think it's a good suggestion. Doesn't really have any major change. The other one, and this is one that I think that we looked at as a board in terms of a recommended language specifically related to if we're looking at 7D, which says existing memorials may be replaced by another memorial or removed at any time with the approval of the Parks Board. I think that was one thing that we talked about as a key area in terms of the replacement of existing facilities. So I'm glad that that's in there. But regarding the maintenance issues that Robert's talking about in 7A and B, I think consistent with what the city attorney is recommending, we can forward a recommendation that basically eliminates 7A and B, and then by reference to sections 5A6 and 5B5, that'll cover the maintenance issues specifically related to donated items in parks. So basically, a new 7A may read something to the effect of, maintenance of donated items will be in accordance with sections 5A6 and 5B5 of this policy or something to that effect.
Makes sense. Wait, tell me what those will be in accordance with what?
Sections 5A6.
A6?
Yep,
Okay.
and sections 5B5. So it's the same recommendation that the city attorney had in the staff memo.
Oh, okay, good. I got it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's dependent on another section of it, but it's within the same policy, so I think that that's in keeping with the overall context of the maintenance plan. And we already have the language referenced elsewhere, so I don't think there's really a lot of need to go into further discussion on that piece in the maintenance section because it's already addressed. So just my 2 bits on it. I think the city attorney's recommendation are, and as Robert said, I think when we start to rely on people to have to go in and do the maintenance, it creates challenges. They have to fill out waiver forms. There's uses of pesticides, equipment, all those other things that ends up happening. And I think that consistent with what Robert said, if we're more judicious in the types of memorials that are coming in, I think the maintenance needs will be much less. So just my 2 bits.
Any other discussion?
No. Can we make a motion to approve this as amended?
Have we actually amended it?
I think so.
As recommended by council, by our
staff.
city attorney.
Or, okay,
Not that council, but the council with the SEL.
Yes.
Well, and amended by Matt's suggestion.
Well, it's really
That's
just-
actually the Shannon's suggestion. It's on number, if you have the staff report in front of you, it's number 5. So, and it's exactly, he just was reading that.
Okay. I'll second the motion that he made.
So there's,
We have a motion to approve memorial policy
I
as,
guess forward the recommendation for approval.
huh?
Forward the recommendation for approval because
Oh,
council
thank
wants
you.
to.
Recommendation for approval of the memorial policy as suggested by city council.
No, but
Legal.
yeah, by city
Well,
council attorney, city attorney.
That's, yeah, I got the wrong. Yes, the attorney, city attorney. Boy, being retired, you just get all mixed up. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
That was easy.
Thanks for doing all that work.
So, Mr. Chair, we do have a new guests that come in. I don't know if you wanted to.
Are you an interested citizen? You want to talk to us?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, come on up.
I came here about a week ago to talk about an eco project that I could do this summer. And recently, I was talking with Dan, and we decided to do the gazebo out there. And I had 4 questions for you about how to do it. One of them we came up with scaffolding, paint, water, so this power washing, and sanding to try to restore it. And the questions I have for you is, what kind of paint would we use to paint over? Do you have to have some sort of metallic paint, metal paint, or just off the shelf?
We're going to defer that to Robert.
Robert?
So I do not have an answer for you just yet. I will research that, and I will have that for you in a timely manner. What's your timeline as far as wanting to get this project done?
I'd say I'd like to get this done this summer and prepare for it in the meantime.
After school's out?
After school's out,
Yeah,
yes.
so June, July, August? Okay.
That time?
Yeah. I will research what type of paint we need to apply to that, and there's probably a special primer as well. I know we're going to have to definitely clean the surface very well and possibly scuff it with like some sandpaper or something along those lines.
Yes, that brings me to the next question.
Yeah,
Water source, what kind of water source are we going to use? Because we're going to have to power wash it down.
sure. So we have the park shop is located right next door to that. We have a great water source. We have lots of hoses for you. You could string out there, unlimited water, good pressure. So that'll be easy.
And sanding, we use power sanders or sandblasting?
If you have the capabilities of sandblasting, that would make it really easy, but that's quite a task. So I guess I'll defer back to you on that. Power sanders would probably be the better option, but if you have a resource of a person who owns a quality sandblaster and has experience with that, I wouldn't mind having that discussion with you.
And my last question for you guys is funds. How will the funding work for this? Would you guys have to provide the money, or we'll have to go and grab some funds?
You need to apply for a grant.
Apply for a grant, all right.
We have a special grant just for youth.
Where can I find that?
I believe it's on the website.
We do have it on the website, and if you'll give me your contact information, I can email it to you. If you have an email? I can email that to you if you want. Okay?
Perfect.
And what's your name?
Blaine Elder.
Blaine Elder? Okay, thank you, Blaine.
All right, that's all the questions I had for you guys.
The timing of your grant may be important because it cycles July 1st. Are you going to do it before July 1st? It has to be done by July 1st.
I can get it done before July 1st.
Ooh.
May I?
Yes, sir.
You have 2 options. If you're going for a grant, you could apply for a grant right now, and for this budget cycle that we're in, which ends June 30th, and you'd have to have the project complete by that date. Or you could still fill out a grant application, bring it to Parks Board within the next few months, and they can approve it for next budget year, which starts July 1st. You could start your project after July 1st, and you would have an entire year to complete it. That way you wouldn't be up against such a time crunch. That might be a better option for you.
I'll think of the July next year.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, Matt?
So, Mr. Elder, we spoke on the phone. I'm Matt. And we talked a little bit about the project. Sounds like you've done a lot of follow-up homework, so congratulations on that. As Debbie sends you the information and you need any help, I believe you still got my phone number. If not, we'll
Yes.
touch bases and I can help you walk through the grant application a little bit. So, it should be an exciting project. There's lots of us up here on the dais that are interested in making sure that you're successful, and so use your resources. Robert's awesome. He'll give you all the information you need, and glad to see you.
Thank you.
I just had a question. Robert, on that, the city could actually supply the paint,
We could go that route.
right? So that's just another option also.
It is another option.
Yeah.
Roland's next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the past, I think somebody might have said that, I don't have my hearing aid, but in the past, and Clint might know this, you can actually go to painters, folks that are in the paint company, and sometimes they'll help you, whether with donations or even the pressure washer. Sometimes people can help you. I don't know if you have any time for looking around, but do you still have contact with painters?
Williams on River Road.
All right.
You might talk to them.
Yes. Yeah, actually, my son, we did the fire hydrants, is what his Eagle project. Went over here to Sherwin-Williams, and they set him up with everything.
There you go.
I mean, paint supplies, paint, basically anything you need.
That's the one I'm talking about,
So,
Sherman.
if you could involve Matt, there's anything, need names or whatever, the manager's still there, I think, that I worked with, so.
Well, and you also have one of the scout gurus sitting right up here on the dais, Mr. David Loudon. And
So what troop are you with?
Troop 20. I'm trying.
Ah, Byron Meadows troop. I don't know Byron, not at all.
All right. You guys have-
20 used to be arch rivals of 121 where I was
Really?
back in the day.
Just kind of curious, are you a Life Scout?
Yes, I am Life Scout.
Okay, and you're working towards your Eagle?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Getting close?
I am.
Good.
All right. Any more questions you guys have for me?
Nope, just get the grant filled out and specify when you want it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Elaine?
Thank you.
Here's my card. Why don't you just email me, okay? And then I can send you everything that way, okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't need more.
All right. Budget, that sounds like exceptionally interesting thing.
Everybody's favorite.
So I gave each of you a handout to look at. And these are the items that we have put into the Parks budget for this next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. And these items came directly from our 3 to 5 year plan that we created. We did have to do a little juggling, I will say, not much, but one of the main big ticket items that we moved up a year was the Claggett play structure. Actually, I think Tanya, your first meeting here, you mentioned, you'd done your walkthrough of your park and you said, that play structure is kind of looking ratty, and it is. It's usable, but it's at the very end of its lifespan. There's some maintenance issues that are starting to take place that are stacking up, and I just felt it was very important to get that moved up a year. Let's get that play structure replaced. It's used heavily. We have all summer long, it's reservation after reservation after reservation at the shelter there. We just built the new basketball courts. There's a workout area. The soccer field is nonstop. There's a lot of traffic in and out of that park, and that toy is seeing, because of the improvements we've made to the park already, the toy is continuing to see heavy usage, and I think it's just very important to get that replaced sooner rather than later. I would hate for something to happen to it and actually have to close it down for half of a year because we haven't budgeted until next year, So that was just a decision that I felt really needed to be made. The rest of these items really are pretty much spot on with our plan. Take a look at them. I can read them off one by one if you want. If there's any questions, maybe let's do that. We'll just start at the top. If you have a question about that particular project, let's talk about it. Yes.
So the one at the Meadows was very successful because of the outreach.
Yeah. Yep. We'll plan on doing the same thing. Yeah, definitely.
So if you're not familiar, when we did the Meadows Playground, 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, it's been 2 years. One of the things that the city staff did was they actually held a couple get-togethers with affected neighbors and basically had them come in. They talked about concepts. They talked about, design ideas and things like that. And ultimately, I think what we ended up with was probably a similar success rate that the Big Toy had because there was the public buy-in, right? It wasn't something that just happened in a vacuum. And just as Robert mentioned today, 19 kids out there at the park today, every single piece of equipment was being occupied. And so I think that
Yeah, at Meadows.
using that same process, it's only going to be more successful. And Claggett, I think, is going to get a lot of attention because of the regional nature of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, I agree. One thing for sure that we want to make sure we include in that project is the rubberized poured in place surfacing. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that. We have it at the Big Toy, we have it at Meadows, we have an early version of it at Wallace House. It's just amazing to be able to provide the ADA access to everybody. It seems to be holding up pretty well. It's virtually almost no maintenance for staff. So it's really been a big win-win in a lot of different areas.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
One design feature that, as you're looking at contractors, we've had a lot of requests. We've done really good with the ADA accessible swings for most, but if they have the wheelchair swings, that's been one thing that we got a lot of feedback from folks, so they'd really like to see that as an option.
The platform swing. Yeah.
So if we can kind of keep that in the back of our head as we're looking at this, because of the regional draw and the accessibility and that being somewhere where a lot of people with varying mobility opportunities go,
Sure.
that would be a really key feature. I think that would be very impressive to users.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your timeline with that?
So this project would have to fit into this next fiscal budget cycle. So July 1st, construction could potentially start as early as July 1st. Probably won't, but a lot of times these playground companies are really busy at schools, July and August, and they generally tend to favor other projects towards the end of that. But still a great time of year to build, August, September, October, so that's probably more realistic. It's also nice not to have a busy park shut down
Yeah, I was just
at the
gonna say.
busiest season that we're also seeing usage. So a large project like that could definitely hinder our reservations at the shelter. So we always try to juggle all that.
Time for the outreach and everything else.
Yep. So any other questions on the Claggett Creek play structure?
I'm assuming the parking lot would be done about the same time?
Yes. So it could be. I mean, it's going to happen the same year. It's on two separate ends of the park. That particular project is more of probably a 2-day project. It's pretty much going to be an overlay with a little bit of a expansion on the north side, just so the parking lot is not a perfect rectangle right now. It's actually a little bit wider on one end than the other. So we want to get that more straightened out so we can have head-in parking on both sides. Currently, it does not have that. So we need to add about 2 to 3 feet on one end, and then we'll have a large enough area to put head-in parking. So that'll basically double the amount of parking spaces in that parking lot. So it'll be similar size to what we have like down at the Big Toy and the dog park, once all is said and done.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So Robert, I just wanted to ask, there's not a design in place yet then?
No.
For it, so that's what having the community come in and
No.
people involved would be about?
And a lot of times we'll get some rough idea, just some generic designs to bring to a meeting like that, so that the public can kind of have some things to point at and say, oh, I really like that, and I really like that, and they kind of pick and choose a bunch of things. And usually we left at the last one for Meadows, they filled out cards, suggestion cards, and then we tallied all those up at the end and said, oh wow, climbing, I remember climbing was a big suggestion, we want to see more safe climbing. And it's like, yeah, that's great. And then the ADA access, that was big. I don't remember what else. All your generic.
The age area.
Different ages, yep. Structure for 2 different age groups. Swings are always huge. Everybody wants to see swings, and we don't plan on taking those away. So, yeah.
One question on the park.
Yes.
So the northwest corner there kind of abuts the neighborhood. Do you have any opportunity to expand over there
Not much.
Really?
Yeah, there's about 20 feet between the parking lot and the fence line right there. It's not as wide as you think. As you,
Back issues and everything else too, probably.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, but not much.
I just think with the volume that we get down there for soccer and football and some other stuff, I mean, it does spill over the neighborhoods, and being able to minimize that as much as possible.
For sure, for sure. Yep. But like I said, I mean, if we widen it, we will almost double the amount of cars that you can park there. So that is quite an improvement. Okay, so we talked about the parking lot there. Replace the stairs on the southern side, hillside at Northview Park. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the staircase that's in that park. It's old, it's like railroad ties and an old piece of railing that goes down the hill. Nobody uses it because it's not very safe. It doesn't look very attractive. So they walk around the block to go in the other access. Now that we have that nice sports court, it's a half court, but quite a few families are walking to the park and using that, and it'd be nice to provide a nice, safe entry point for those who want to access it from that route instead of, running down the Ivy Hill or going all the way around. So
Would that be both staircases or just the one that's falling apart?
just the main one. The other one's more of a trail.
Well, there was 2 concrete staircases.
Concrete?
Yeah, well, there was one with a handrail by the barbecue, and it's covered with ivy.
That's the one where
And then there was another one on the other side of the park that tree roots have basically pushed the stairs all over the place.
Yeah, and ivy's growing over it. That one will just, I hardly count that, to be honest with you. I don't see a need to put 2 staircases like within 50 feet of each other, 100 feet of each other. So we're just going to build one nice solid new staircase that goes down and eliminate the other.
And take the other one out. Okay, yes, Matt?
So I get together on this. How do we deal with the ADA access there?
Because the other side of the park has the ADA access.
Okay.
Well,
Glad somebody asked it. I was gonna.
there's a wire gate across the other access.
Yeah, I've been trying to work with
That's
the.
not their property. That's the city of Keizer's property. They have a 10.5 foot strip through there.
Yeah, so I have ideas. I'd like to meet with the swimming pool club and run some of those ideas past them. Basically, if we can just move the gate inward some past where our new trail kicks out, then that will alleviate that cable lock, I will say. I think that's something that could very easily be done with limited resources.
I could go out and locate those property corners for you.
Sure.
I know you'd be terribly upset.
Anything else on that one? Okay. Repair various areas of asphalt throughout the park system. So we've done this before. Hidden Creek, Country Glen, along the creek, we're starting to experience some root activity from a lot of the cottonwood trees that are popping up along the creek, and they're starting to warp the trail much worse than they were a few years ago. So we've made sure we've allotted some money to go in and handle those areas, as well as if there's anything else that pops up. Between the time we talk, we look at building a budget to the end of that actual budget year. It's a year and a half plus. A lot can change in that time frame. So we're always trying to be proactive. And I know that's something that's been mentioned a few times, and I'd like to see it done. So that was kind of a safety issue that we'd like to get resolved. As well as, it's not listed here, but probably having a tree service go through there and try to remove some of those, there's seedlings that are popping up, cottonwoods. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that style of a tree, but it just tends to pop up and grow all over the place, almost like a aspen or something. So
Right out of sidewalks.
yeah, and they grow very fast. They're very aggressive. A cottonwood tree, I don't know the details exactly, but I know it can go from about a 4-foot tall tree to about a 30-foot tall tree just in a matter of 5 years. It grows very fast. Hence, it can do some damage to trails very quickly. So we want to get that resolved. And then kind of the last ticket item here is, well, my staff report is going to tell you, I'll just say it right now. The charge house demo, the house is gone, the demo is complete. We're getting power reinstated to our well and over to the snack shack down there. Just the way that the power was routed and that the house had to get removed. We've had to reroute some of that underground, but that's all being taken care of. Long term, we would like to see something go in there. So I had conduit put in the ground, kind of stubbed up just in the middle area where the house, basically the edge of the back of the house was, just for future power needs. We would like to put, maybe a more permanent gravel pad that we can park if we wanted to have food trucks or vendors for different events could pull in there and just have a place to park and maybe have a power source. We'd like to see that added down there this next year, so it at least looks a little more complete than, hey, there was a house there and now it's gone. We are going to plant some grass over the area that we filled for now, just so we can mow it and it's not growing weeds, but it needs something a little bit more than that. So that's what that is. And then SDC and the master plan, Parks Master Plan and SDC methodology update. Mostly that's the Parks Master Plan update. And that's something I've talked to the board about over the last year. You kind of know what's coming, but it most likely will cost a fair amount of money to do that. So we wanted to make sure we included that in the budget. And depending on how many changes are made in the master plan, that may or may not involve an SDC methodology update. And that's just how much money can be spent on those projects from the SDC funds. So, but first we're going to chunk off the master plan update and then we'll go from there. So.
You have an idea of date?
It will, again, next budget year. So.
It's not that far away.
No, July 1st. It could start as early as July 1st. So, and it probably will start pretty darn early in the budget year, just in case we need a fair amount of time to get through it. So.
Yes, Clint?
At the amphitheater where they tore the ground up, when are they gonna fix that?
Soon. When we actually tried to fix it, but our heavy equipment was sinking still. It's still that soggy down there, believe it or not. It just doesn't get a lot of sunlight.
Let me use my seat so it's the same seat
Yeah, sure.
that's there.
Fine, no problem. I'll let you know. We'll, probably in the next couple weeks. I figure get seed down about April 1st, assuming we don't get a monsoon rainstorm in the next few weeks. So yeah, that's what I had there. Any questions regarding the list?
David?
Yes, Matt?
So, shelters at Keizer Rapids is probably the following fiscal year?
Yes, so that's the one item that got bumped.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I can't personally see not replacing a toy structure that has some potential safety issues coming up over a new build.
Sure.
So to me, it was an easy exchange. Put one off a year farther, bring one in a year closer. The need was there. So yeah, the shade structures, picnic structures for the big toy are just moved a year back on the list. We did accomplish the shade sales this budget year, which was kind of an unplanned deal, other than Parks Foundation had some funds they wanted to put towards that, and so that kind of sparked that whole project, and we were able to accomplish that.
So the old hazelnut orchard.
Yeah.
Had a contract, and now we've got a bunch of area that has to be maintained. So that was an unforeseen cost, or is it?
It is, but it's not a huge number.
Okay.
So, just to bring the board up to date, what Matt's talking about is the the area of Keizer Rapids around the Big Toy where all the trees were at, it was an old hazelnut orchard. We did have an agreement with a farmer that was going to, the plan was to have him start farming that land, and so we weren't having to maintain all that acreage. The farmer was able to prep the ground, disc it, make it nice and flat for us. Grass grew, and then he kind of was like, I'm not really interested anymore. So it's ours to maintain now, bottom line. What we've been doing is we've been using our right-of-way mower to help maintain that in and out in day and a half of mowing with the right piece of equipment. So it's not a big dollar item that we're having to put towards that. And the nice thing is it's nice and smooth, so they can do it quickly.
And we got a lot of value out of all the work that was done.
And yeah, big time.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars probably.
Yeah, I mean, heavy duty ag equipment came in and leveled that and disked it and made powder out of it, and it was like pristine, like almost looked as flat as a golf course. So that alone was worth something.
Great.
So it's manageable, it's not something that's...
Very manageable.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Parks tour. You have suggestions for us?
On the agenda.
It's, yeah. I mean, I do. I'm totally open to suggestions. I would love to just be able to show off some of these projects that we've been able to accomplish. That's my goal. But if you guys have some other areas, concerns that you want to look at, definitely more than willing to go there too. I mean, we have to keep it sort of limited, but.
I just want to back up the Claggett Creek suggestion first. I was there today walking through it because the weather was really great, had a little extra time. I was actually going to point out, looking at the difference in the improvements from the basketball court, adding that exercise equipment is incredible. And then you look over at the play structure and you notice how old it is now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
it doesn't quite fit in anymore.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's in really bad shape. I went out there to pressure wash last year, and I was in one area for about an hour and basically made very little dent because that moss and all the mold and stuff has kind of grown into the metal.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where I was a little bit hesitant to go a little harder on it because at that point you're starting to flake paint.
Right.
Or whatever the powder coating.
It's better just leave it alone.
Yeah, so, and the plastic areas, as I was hitting with the pressure washer, you could see the color change, so you're degrading the material.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those things like, I mean, we were really successful at Country Glen 2 years ago, but this one is just.
Meadows.
Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Pressure washing, yeah.
Pressure washing, yeah. And as I was there, there was a family going to use the covered area for picnic or something. So, it was getting pretty late too. So, we definitely need to visit that. And then also the skate park. I was out just before coming in for this. The skate park is incredible too. So we need to go check that out again as well because it is getting a lot of use. It's really a lot safer. It's a lot better looking. It looks like it's way more fun than it was. Like even just like the original design, it looks like it's much improved from that. So both of those I would like to back up on where we should go. That was it, sorry.
Oh, any other discussion? Or are we happy with what was proposed?
Well, I guess, Mr. Chair, the question I might have is, this is in April now because we had to postpone the September one. Are we going to kind of shift our philosophy to now doing more spring, or are we going to do an April this year and still do our September? Because I think that might be appropriate for this year and then just go back to the September timeframe. Because if Robert's able to accomplish some of these bigger projects by fall this year, then maybe the council's going to want to see that. But I also don't want to overload the council with work sessions. So it's just kind of I guess it's more a philosophy question. Do we do the 2 this year just because we have a lot going on and had a lot going on? and then go back to our September cycle, or do we just want to maybe change our, I don't know.
Okay, any discussion?
So
Yes, Robert?
Matt mentioned, we may have some of our large projects that are on this list completed by then. We may or may not. To be honest with you, like the Claggett Creek structure might not even begin till 1st of September. It's hard to say. Not to say we won't have things to go look at, but that alone is a little bit challenging to know. So, not trying to cancel the September tour, but.
Any other discussion on whether we should cancel the September? Or should we do it?
David, just one thing I'd like to add, because the RFP is coming up at the Keizer Little League Complex, and
Yes.
because the traffic's going to double this year, it'd be good for us to go out and look and see what's happening there.
That's on the list.
September or April?
Both?
Well, I'd like to do the April one when there's a lot of traffic going on.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
So we're discussing whether or not we wouldn't have to go to
Okay.
these places in September. We could go to other parks in September, or we could cancel the September one
Or you
and
could
wait
wait till you
until
got
September
closer.
of next year. Is that what you're suggesting, Matt?
I'm just asking.
You're asking the question.
Yeah, I mean, the council has limited work systems every year, so I want to be mindful of the council's needs, but also mindful of Robert and Debbie's time too, because, it's exciting that we're doing work, and we're here now because we had to cancel the September meeting in 2019, so.
You could just wait until September got closer
Yeah,
and
you don't have to
see
make
if
up your mind.
I mean, there's no reason to
We could
decide
get rained
now.
out again, too.
See how April goes and then make a decision.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I usually have it on the agenda sometime in August, so we can address it then and decide if you want to go or not.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. See how this one goes and see what happens this summer. So that's still we don't know yet.
But is everybody good with those parks that are listed, or do you want to rearrange that at all?
I think that's a good, anybody want to change to that? I think that's a good selection as usual.
Okay.
All right, parks reports. Tanya,
Oh, well, that is down at the bottom. Where is it?
but
I was just waiting for them.
No, must have fallen off. So, yes, Robert just pointed out that usually, or in the past, when we have had a parks tour, it's always the day before our regular meeting. So and a lot of times we go ahead and cancel the next day's meeting and just do the parks tour. So, but that's something that the board needs to decide.
so is this April 1 the same?
Yeah, right? So
right.
April's meeting would normally be on the 14th. This will be
Yes.
the day before.
Right, yes.
Any discussion on that?
I think the only concern I had was whether or not we got to look at the agenda before, or the budget before it went to budget committee, and Robert got that to us tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got the memorial policy put out. I think I'd welcome a break.
If we don't have any pending items, I don't see why we.
So do we have a motion to
Well-
cancel that meeting?
If we end up with a grant request, though, that's all.
From the Eagle Scout?
Yeah.
It sounds like he's not going to be ready until summer.
Say next
Yeah.
July.
Is that what it's-
Is there a motion to cancel the meeting prior to the parks tour?
No, after the parks tour, the April 14
Yeah,
meeting.
well, thank you. After the parks tour.
So moved?
So moved what?
Yeah, I would like to motion that we cancel the April's meeting and then just go with the parks tour instead.
Second.
We have a motion and it's second.
I didn't hear who seconded. Oh, thank you.
Please speak louder. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The April meeting is canceled. Now it's your turn.
Sweet. So Bob Newton, we just moved right next to that park, which is really exciting. The sign
is not right by the play structure. Is it over by the neighborhood access? Is that where it's at?
There's two of them, yeah, the dead end streets. So is it I get them confused, Mandarin or Mandarin? Mandarin. And 12th.
And 12th. Okay, because I was like.
And actually, one of them is removed right now because we're doing a little repaint job on
Okay,
it.
no worries. It's not, there's no safety concern with it. I was just like, where's the park sign? But
And it's the
I
park
didn't.
name sign. We do have a park rules sign, by the
Okay,
way.
got it. It looks fantastic. We played tennis on the tennis court. Everything looks fantastic there. I have no concerns, other than when I'm walking on the access road to that park. There's still huge potholes. My dog walked through all of them. It was soaking wet, so that's.
I did tell some
You had a lot of fun, though.
people on the streets crew about it, so
Okay.
hopefully they'll help out with that.
Great. And then Ben Miller is a great little, it's a small neighborhood park. What I've noticed is that my son now goes to Claggett, and I see whenever I pick him up at the end of the day that there's just children everywhere. And I don't know if it's something that has to be done, but there's no sidewalks in that community. I've lived right down the road from there. But is there a way that we can put some kind of a pathway from the entrance of the park to kind of across it? Because kids will, I mean, they're walking right through the grass. It's not even a big deal, but it would be nice to have a throughway through the park potentially, because if they go around the park, there's no sidewalks. And that's a horrible road right there. So that was just a want.
Probably something that somebody would want to take to the pedestrian and bikeways committee.
Okay,
And see what they think of that idea.
okay. And I don't know if it has to be anything permanent, even just a path, like I mean, it would be cool if it was permanent, because a lot of the kids ride bikes and skateboards and things like that. However, it's wearing a rut right through. I mean, you probably see it when you maintain that area. There's areas that are just getting worn.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That park,
The sidewalk terminates at the stop sign, right?
there's no sidewalks in that neighborhood except for
Out
on
on
Alder.
Alder,
On
there
Alder,
is.
yes, sorry, my bad. But on this side of the residential area, there's no sidewalks. So anyways, it's just something I noticed with kids coming in and out. But I could definitely take that to the pedestrian.
Yes, you should. They are trying to looking into getting grants for Safe Routes to School.
Oh, great.
And that would, I think, fall right under that. They also have Safe Routes to Park grants. So, but they really need somebody to help them. And, if Tanya, if you wanted to go to them, maybe you could help them figure out how to do that.
Okay, great.
Randy Miller will do all the work.
Randy?
Dill?
That's his name.
Yeah. I visited today Sunset, and I already talked about Claggett. Same stuff I said earlier. And then, yeah, Sunset is beautiful. It's pretty early in the year, so I don't know if somebody's mowing it, because it doesn't look like it needs it yet, but.
we will be mowing it now because our
Yes, our
volunteer
volunteer.
has moved
Yeah.
away. We've not put the benches back out yet because.
Yeah, I saw them in the stack.
Chance of a flood, although it's looking slim. But last April, we had an extremely high water event.
Right.
So we're a little skeptical about when we put the benches down near the river.
They can't float away, right?
No, but trees could damage them.
Oh, sure.
We got a lot of logs that float through there. It's kind of a straightaway.
Yeah.
And the logs stack up just downriver there. And so I would just hate to have them damaged. They're not going to float away.
Right. That did make, there's a log just lying there. I'm curious, what do we do with those? Do we just throw them back in and somebody else can deal with it downriver? Or do we haul them out or cut them up? What's the deal?
To be honest with you, we don't get very many logs that accumulate in that area. They generally accumulate more on the corner. That is more of a straightaway, and actually if you look upriver of Sunset Park,
Yeah.
the river actually bends, if you're looking upriver to the right, and so that little bit of a point that's above it kind of kicks them out away. So it's really rare that a log accumulates. If it's a log that lands in an area that makes sense, we'll leave it for kind of an area to sit, actually for the summer.
Yeah.
Or we've actually had tree crew come in there and cut them up and remove them for us.
I want to see a lot of logs come to my house.
Yeah.
I've probably got
that corner.
500 of them there.
Right, yeah, so I think looking up river near your house, you can see some, and then I bet at like Keizer Rapids, there's some somewhere along there too.
And Palmacia
It's not
And
on
yeah.
my property, it's on the city property.
Oh, at the pump station?
Pump station,
Yeah,
but it backs up Sawmill into my property.
gotcha.
It's a big mess.
So anyway, that park's great, and I don't think there's anything of note there. Some vandalization on the signs that I don't think are ours, the park boundaries.
What comes out of the river can go back in the river on those
Yeah.
logs.
Yeah.
If it comes up again. I was Northview today. Lots of people there playing. There was several groups playing on the sports court.
Cool, awesome.
And we already talked about the stairs. I was out in Meadows. I asked a lady what it needed. She had said absolutely nothing. It was perfect.
Love it.
And there was a lot of activity on the play structures.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I visited Northridge and Ryan Hill yesterday, for Northridge. I spent about 20 minutes trying to find the entrance to it, only to discover I had stumbled upon the entrance at the back of the Northwood Apartments parking lot.
Well, not really.
So that's the only way I found to get down into the space.
Well,
We didn't park.
we don't have a complete easement through there yet.
Yeah, and I totally get that it's supposed to be an undeveloped space, and it's a nice little wetlands, to be honest, what you can see of it. So I wandered down the mud path into that space a little ways. You can't go too far without risk of stepping into the wetlands, so, but, I mean, there was just some trash down there. That's all I could observe. I wasn't sure, though, it's the first time I've been there, if there was any kind of even undeveloped trail along the perimeter that people could observe the space from, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It is a neat little wetlands. The board I've been here 12 years, probably taken a close look at it 3 different times, and every time we get down that trail, it leads to a lot of difficult dead ends of legal access and, just where the access points are at. And
right.
It's very difficult. It is a neat wetlands. It serves as a great wetlands that's actually located right in the middle of the city that hardly anybody knows is there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It gets a little trash that floats in from Claggett Creek, but it also kind of acts as a filter for Claggett Creek. So it's doing good in another way. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate having that wild space here in the middle of the city. That's nice. So, and then I went out to the Ryan J. Hill, and I'd never been there. Nice, pleasant little park with, I appreciate the tree signage and the sculpture and the kiosk with the information about the Japanese Americans that lived in the area and the Native American woman and her survival. I was just looked around for quite a while for any signage or description of who Ryan J. Hill was, and I did not find it.
That's correct. We do not have a description. I don't know why. The park's name.
Yeah,
But
so I didn't.
there's no
I figured
description.
maybe that was a recent naming in memoriam of
Fairly recent.
him, but it'd be nice to have something
Yeah, when we named him,
to recognize him.
longer than that.
It was
So
the
we do
only
have the
Keizer I
information.
killed in the Iraqi war.
Okay, yeah.
The only Keizer I think who was.
Yeah.
And we do have that information. Is there a place we could put a sign there?
Well, we should reach out to Ryan's mom first before we did anything.
Yeah.
And there might be a reason why it's not. She's been very heavily involved in that process and just moving forward from what happened with Ryan. I actually went to school with him. I knew him from a very young age, so he was actually a personal friend of mine, and I know his mom, so I try to work with her on those things and those suggestions, and nothing of that nature has come to us that I know of. Don't know if there's a reason why or not, but anyways.
That bridge over the small creek there is a nice view, and maybe a plaque on that bridge would be at least something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Recognize him.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
We just added some slippery when wet signs on that bridge because I guess it's been getting a little bit slick during these icy mornings over that waterway there. So those just got put up today.
Anyway, it's nice. Thank you.
Robert?
Yeah.
On Northridge Park, there's a pie shape in the middle that is not owned by the city. Have you ever considered acquiring?
In the middle, like an island?
It kind of comes down from the ridge down to a point about Claggett.
Oh,
Is not owned by the city.
okay.
Have you ever?
Oh, I know where you're talking. I've seen it on the map.
Yeah,
now.
just
I
about
know.
dead
That was one of the
center, right there at the
difficulties
bend.
of getting a trail put through there.
Well, it'd be kind of hard. I mean, you might want to see how much somebody wants for that worthless piece of dirt.
Yeah, we could. I mean, if there was a plan for it, I suppose.
Can I ask one more question? What's the timeline of the play structure being updated at Ben Miller? Is there a plan for that to be?
Ben Miller, it's not
Yeah.
that new.
It's just, compared to all the other parks, it just is kind of it's basic. It's also real small, so I just didn't know if there was a plan.
No, I do not have a timeline for that yet, although I will say it's not on the 3 to 5 year plan,
Okay.
but it would be very shortly following.
Okay,
So it didn't quite make the 5-year cutoff, but we knew it would be very soon after.
okay.
Yeah.
There's no safety concerns, it's in good
Well,
working order.
it does come up, I mean, it gets beat up a lot by middle school.
Kids are hard on that
They're
whole
on
park.
it.
When that was my park a couple of years ago, I mean, there was, I think, a laundry list of stuff that I had to send Robert, and,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those ones that
Yeah.
personal responsibility goes into play there a lot, but, you know,
It's going to be one of those that when we replace it, we're going to see it get beat up immediately afterwards too, and that's going to be hard to
always gets
watch.
tagged.
I'm wondering if the leadership program at Claggett would want to take that on, because they have youth leadership and development right there at Claggett, and that might be,
Yeah.
I don't know, some kind of
Might
partnership.
be something worth looking into for sure.
Very avid program, so, anyway. Okay, thank you. That's all I have, sorry.
Wayne isn't here today.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why.
And we already know Palmacia is what it is. It's going to be that way. All right. Robert, it's your turn.
Staff report, I give you guys the update on the Charge House demo. Staff's been working on kind of this, we've had some winter projects we've been trying to accomplish mixed with the spring weather. It's kind of thrown a little wrench in things, but we're chugging along, trying to keep grass mowed as we've had time to get through that. We finally got through the cleanup down there at the boat ramp parking lot. We're gonna have bark dust blown in down there and a few other areas down at Keizer Rapids this week. I think our guys said they ended up pruning, it was 100 cubic yards of material off that this year. It's crazy. But that's behind us, so that's good. Got the amphitheater fertilized. We'll be getting the parks, spraying done here probably in the next month as weather allows, something we do every year, just to fence lines and tree circles. Try to keep that at a minimum, but it's gotta get done every now and then. Yeah, just getting ready for spring. It's kind of already here. I keep wondering what's going on with our climate, but yeah, we've mowed most parks twice already, and I'd say we never have done that before by this time of year, so. Yeah, don't know what's coming. Might get a
Snow on Saturday.
Yeah, I know you were saying that. That would be nuts, but I believe it, it's still.
Me neither, I don't.
So, anyways, yeah, not a whole lot to report this month.
All right.
Thank you, Robert. Debbie?
Okay, so I don't know if y'all are aware, but the Keizer Festival Advisory Board was disbanded. And one of the things that they were responsible for was approving the bands that would be playing at the amphitheater in the summer concert series. I put in your packet a list of bands that they already approved because they came up every year for many years. The list gets longer and longer, and those, what I need to know from you, I'd like you all, you don't have to do anything tonight, but there's also a list in the packet of who Clint already has planned so far for concerts. Those bands, I created a link on each of them on the electronic copy that you got. You can click on it, it'll either take you to their website or to their Facebook page, and you can listen to their music and see if you like it. Some of them are already on that approved list, so so I would like you to check those bands, the ones that are planned for this summer, but also look at the ones that are on the permanent list and see if you want to just approve those too. If you want to just rubber stamp the Festival Advisory Board, they've already looked at all of them, and if you just want to trust them and say, yeah, we can go with these, then, but every year we will be coming to you with whoever Clint has scheduled for the next season.
But we don't actually have to bring up the ones we approved last year and the year before.
We will, I mean, that'll be up to the Parks Board. We didn't before because it was a Festival Advisory Board and they already had approved those. If the Parks Board approves the Festival Advisory Board list, then no, you won't need to. But if they don't, then we'll start from the beginning and start a new list.
Did you get the list that I gave her last week, Wednesday?
I got a list off your KRA website.
Okay.
It's in your packet.
Okay. I didn't.
He has it right there.
I didn't get a packet.
So the only thing there's only a couple on the list in the black that aren't already on the KFAB.
Right.
So that's the ones you're asking us to evaluate and either recommend including.
If you want to just go with the KFAB list, you don't need to worry about anything that's already on there. Just check those others that aren't on there. Some of them I know I've heard them and they're good.
So are you recommending that we move forward?
But you can wait. I mean, I want to give you all time to do that because I sprung it on you pretty quick. So, and it takes a little bit of time to sit down and get through their Facebook page and listen to some of their music, that sort of thing. So that's why and we aren't meeting in April, but we do need to make that decision in May.
Chair, can I make just an observation? I did go through and click on a lot of the links.
Okay.
Look through the list and listen to the music. And I've been to concerts there before, really appreciate the space. I think I would categorize the vast majority of the bands listed playing this coming season as either classic rock, blues, or jazz. And I would expect that the demographic of those who attend all those concerts listed are probably going to be pretty close to the same. Probably a lot like us sitting here. And that's the music I grew up with. That's what I like. But I was just thinking, if we want to attract a more diverse audience of people that live in our community, how many high school or people in their 20s or younger would come to shows on that lineup? How many of our Hispanic neighbors would come to shows in that lineup? Probably not that many. So we might want to look at trying to find some Latin music, some reggae. I'm not a hip hop guy, but a lot of people like hip hop too. I mean, just a suggestion for future schedules to look at some diversity of music.
So
Yes.
Kids love the hard rock. So one of the things that happens, and we have some kind of restriction on the sound system. Matter of fact, the one that does the best out there is JFK, and that is hard rock.
Yeah.
But we pack the place. I'm trying to get, I'm trying to do a culture deal with the Chamawa Indian School.
Oh, great.
I'm trying to get some Mexican bands. For some reason, the Mexican bands are more expensive than all the top bands that I have. I haven't figured that out why, but I'm still trying to get a Mexican band. If somebody has an idea for a band, call me. Debbie gave me two of them. Which one did you give me? Because I got them on here now.
I don't know. Well, let's see, what have I got? I gave you Kenny Sears Band, but I didn't see that one.
Kenny's on here.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
I don't see it here.
Yeah.
This is not the list I gave her.
Okay, yeah, and I
you
didn't.
have that list?
No, this is just off your website. That's all I got, Clint. So they're.
Well, Kenny Sears is not on here.
Okay.
There's three other bands.
Yeah, well, this one, it looks like there's a couple of TBAs on there, to be announced. So is that what you're talking about?
No.
No? Okay.
No, they're actually.
Because you got a couple extra dates, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got extra dates. Okay.
So, yes,
I'll
well,
make sure
I'll
that's
have,
updated.
yeah, and I can have an updated, as soon as I get something updated from Clint, I can send it out to everybody too, so you can hear them.
I do need to get these approved right away because
You don't have to have them approved until May. That's what Tammy said.
Except I'm starting to do the advertisement.
Right. Oh, I
Okay,
see.
like, I advertised for the Irish Festival and a lot of other stuff, and they're asking me for that stuff now.
Can we approve these over email?
No,
That's what I thought.
sorry.
No.
I wish we could, but it's
Yeah.
a public meeting kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Debbie, we've had short board meetings before to approve stuff like this, before the parks tour. We've done that before.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is an idea.
So
If
do we,
you-
do we want to
So we can get it,
If you get
no, we'll have it
At the parks.
at the parks tour.
Yeah, we would have it, we would just meet, still at 6 o'clock, and we just hold, yeah, that's right, I forgot about that. We just hold the meeting where we're going to meet. We'd probably start out meeting here anyway, and we could just, and you get a sandwich and something to drink, and vote on whatever it is you want to vote on, close the meeting, and then go on to the
And
tour.
that way we'd meet Clint's schedule.
Uh-huh. Okay, so Clint, if you can get me the list, then I can send it out to everybody with links so they can hear, okay?
I just got one to add, and I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
And then everything will be correct on the website.
And who did you, oh, okay, you're going to fix it on the website so I can just get it from there? That will be
Yeah, I
great.
just got one to add.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't have the Kenny Sears Band on there.
Yeah, they're part of our deal. I don't know
Okay.
why that's not on there.
Okay.
Are there any
And who did you say that you gave it, I mean, you gave it to Allison or did you give it to
Allison.
Tammy? You gave it to Allison? I'll check with her too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there
So-
contemporary country music bands on the roster? I wasn't sure.
When you say country western, give me a for instance what you're talking about.
Well, I'm thinking of just like contemporary popular country artists now. My wife's big into country. I'm not, so she knows better than I do.
Well, Joe Stoddard does a lot of country stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Ty Curtis does a lot of country stuff.
Yeah. Psycho Billy's does too, kind of too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I was just at a scouting event with 13 to 18-year-olds, and they were at least listening to like Sweet Caroline and a lot of the 80s stuff, so there was no hard rock and roll played at all.
I would also, I mean, it doesn't have to be like right away. I agree that some like culturally diverse music would be nice to see. But I'm not really a music guy, so I don't really.
We used to have a Samoan, one night that it was Samoan night, wasn't it?
Paradise of Samoa.
We don't have.
They do too.
Every year, but we lost
The Polynesian one, didn't we?
Samoan. That was the best event.
but I don't
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
It was fabulous. That's
Yeah.
just like being in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But the charges, she said she'd go to the city of Salem and they didn't charge her for it. So.
Oh, okay.
But I used to have that on my deal where she didn't have to buy it, and then the attorneys made me take it off.
But if you know of bands, then you just forward them to Clint. He does that. It's not really through, it doesn't have to be through the Parks Board. I mean, that's really Clint's thing.
Clint,
So you know, the two top bands that are out there, or the three top, JFK is usually the biggest. We just literally packed the place. Johnny Limbo and the Lugnuts, we packed the place. And then Brady Goss, we usually pack the place pretty good.
Clint, you were saying something about the sound system having some limitations. Could you tell me more about that?
Limitations are neighbors.
Okay.
And the police comes out there quite often to check my sound system.
Because it's too loud?
Yeah, there's a code for it.
Sure.
And one of the problems that's happened, we cut all the orchards down, which was a buffer.
Oh, sure.
So we're having a little more trouble. Now we cut the house down, and now any wind coming that way is not going to be blocked, so people that way are going to get a lot of sound. So I have to be careful on it. I just can't get the hard rock there.
Oh,
I have
okay.
guys that want to play there all the time, but I'm just afraid the city would be after me.
Okay, so you weren't saying like the sound system was incapable of like supporting different kinds of, like it had a limitation for reggae music or something.
Some of these guys they've got so much sound system, like JFK, they stay overnight, they set up 2 days in advance. I mean, it's that big a production that they do. and they put on a light show. So if you haven't been to JFK, you need to come out to that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, does have one comment?
Yes.
So, Daniel had some great bands at Iris Fest last year, and they had a couple Latino bands. Maybe touch bases with her and see who she used,
Okay.
because they were pretty awesome. They were in the
Did you
tent.
like any of them?
Yeah, they were great. Yeah. I can't remember. There's two that were there on one of the nights, and I can't remember the names of them, but they were really good. Unfortunately, they were very sparsely attended because it was like the worst night for rain last year for Iris Fest.
Okay. Roland, you've been hiding over there all evening.
Got me in my little corner.
I can hardly see you, especially when your hat was there.
I
couldn't see you
appreciate
at all.
the Jeff bringing up by the way, there is a process. If you've ever been to the Mexican Fiesta, when they have their big event, they bring in bands and they're very expensive. But there was 8,400 people at the last event. I mean, it was massive. I mean, it was incredible. And there is a process. Keizer is not known as a place where you're going to bring a Mexican band or Latin band. But I do appreciate the thought because there will be a process, and I'd like to see that eventually. Anyway, back to this. Our council meeting, we held just a couple of highlights. We have our new youth counselor. His name is Daniel Matthews, and he is a junior from McNary High School. And we hit it out pretty well because he's a history nut, like myself. So we'll be having him for the rest of this year and next year's session. So also we approved April 18th the Claggett Creek's watershed's little soggy what's that called, soggy day in the park, Matt? And that's going to be on the 18th. And we waived the fees for that. That's going to be a nice event. They do the boat rides, event for families. I don't know, they do all kinds of good stuff. Food will be provided by Adam's Ribs. Also, I missed the state of the city. Did anybody happen to go to that today? Did anybody go to that? I think that was, it was today, wasn't it? Okay, so I was tied up, but I missed that. I would have liked to have gone. I will say that last night we had our first initial, and it's a huge process in the budget process. We have a budget calendar which we meet literally 9 or 10 times probably. But we start off with the Long Range Planning Committee, which is made up of us, and how do they pick the panel?
The Budget Committee. It's all the counselors and the people on the budget.
Oh, they're all on the budget committee. Okay, I got you. Anyway, so that's kind of a cool, kind of an overview of, and Tim does a great job of simplifying it or ungeeking it or whatever you want to call it for us guys that, and I've been around it for 6 years and it's still pretty complex. And I'm starting, you start getting a feel for it. But anyway, they go over everything from the overview of the stormwater, the water, the future, what we're going to look at, how our parks fee has affected the police fee, what impact it's doing, something to do with the general fund and basics on the general fund, things that we're going to forecast and look at in detail once we get into the budget process. And believe me, if you never attended a budget committee meeting, it's quite interesting, and I think all of you guys would enjoy it. I mean, it is a little, I don't want to say boring, because it's not boring, it's just, it's interesting in a kind of a different way, because you'll learn certain things. Folks make their presentations, their pitches, and we go through budget item by item, and we pick it apart. I mean, everything. So it's kind of interesting. And the last thing I wanted to mention on I was fortunate to meet with the panel with Senator Merkley, who was in town last week, and some of the myths that's going on with coronavirus, just so the public knows, And everybody has their way of saying, I just learned something. A lot of folks don't know how to wash their hands, apparently, because, you're supposed to go 20 seconds. We're telling our kids little gimmicks like sing happy birthday to yourself twice. But my favorite is the one from my hometown of San Antonio, where they said, pretend like you cut jalapenos, and then you got to put your contacts on afterwards. Yeah. That was pretty good. But anyway, if anything come out of this, and to me, for the life of me, I don't get the toilet tissue thing. I really don't get that thing part of it. But it's basic just stuff, misinformation. Just try to remember just the basic thing is to keep your hands wash your hands. And little things like elevator stuff, or I went to Costco today and I forgot that I go to Costco usually for the samples, no samples. So little things like that where we interact. And the myth about having a mask, that's so crazy because you're buying all these masks and people actually need them because a mask is from here that way to prevent, not to keep. In fact, we all know that it's counterproductive because you end up touching, adjusting it, and the big thing is to keep your hands away from your face, And those of us that wear glasses, we know our hands are always on our face for some reason, But anyway, I just want to make sure that we do let the public know that it is important to wash your hands well. And like we say in schools, I mean, honestly, kids are not the vulnerable group. I hate to sound like, and I work with kids every day. But at the same time, if somebody's not feeling well, please take the proper precautions.
Yeah, and when you wash your hands, you're supposed to wash them twice. Like we have to do this in the food, like at the Little League in the amphitheater. So you wash them twice, and it should take at least 20 minutes.
Not 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
No, not 20 minutes. 20 seconds, yeah.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
I've never taken a shower. I don't think I've ever taken a
So
shower.
you rub them down, you wash them off.
Yeah, and it's good to tell people the right information because there's so much stuff out there right now, and it's complex. Those of us that work around people, kids especially, it's good to let them know just the basic and keep it simple, So that's my 2 cents. And last but not least, for myself, I've seen, we're talking about the parks fee and the police fee. Well, the police fee, it's hard to see something tangible, crime is not happening or something is, but with the parks, I will say you can actually visibly something tangible. You can actually see a difference in our parks. I live around, I'm kind of a parks nerd, so I snoop around a lot of parks. And you can actually see a difference in little things like that. Although graffiti is gone up in my neighborhood, but that's okay. We're on control it. And I don't know what you guys do, but in our park, if there's graffiti there, it's never there for 24 hours. There's a geek that lives in town, in the area, that takes it out right away, which I ran out, I need a little more. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. And again, thank you for all you do. I think it's volunteer week, I believe. Is this correct?
In April is volunteer week. You'll get cookies. You'll get cookies in April, but since you're canceling your April meeting, you'll get yours in May. Okay, but you'll still get cookies.
But there is this weekend, right? The volunteer opportunity. The volunteer. I was
going to bring that up.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Under mass business?
Well, that is time for
Last but not least, I've been following the Charter Review Committee, and that's something we should all keep our eyes on, sort of, to see what's going on with that. Eventually, we'll have the public more input as to what is going on, or what's the top topics, for lack of a better word, on what the proposed changes are and stuff. And it's going to go to the vote of the people, so it's stuff that we should all care about. And thank you very much again.
All right.
That is all.
So thank you for queuing that up, Dylan. So this weekend is the 10th annual Civic Center cleanup. It's hosted by Lake Point Community Church, Keizer Rotary, and Claggett Creek Watershed Council. Every year it saves the city thousands of dollars in maintenance fees for basically everywhere from the police entrance over on Bailey, all the way around the entire area at Chalmers Jones. We typically fill up every year about a 30-yard debris bin with trimmings and rocks and all kinds of other stuff. And it's a really fun community event. You get people from all over that come in. Last year, we actually had the futsal guys come in and help out with that, just as a thank you for helping them get futsal arena over there at Claggett Creek Park. City councilors are out there. Everybody's out there. It's a really fun event. You can go out there. It usually runs about 9 to noon or 1. Get there early, dress appropriately for the weather. There's going to be usually cookies and water and stuff like that. But, if you've got rakes or shovels, bring those. If you got a wheelbarrow, feel free to bring that as well. Roberts went out and bought a bunch more garbage cans, because we fill those garbage cans over and over and over and over, and, we fill up a 30-yard debris bin. So just a lot of fun, and just a really good annual tradition. But Councilor Herrera teed up the other event that's coming up in April 18th, and it's something that the Claggett Creek Watershed Council has been really happy to partner with the city of Keizer on. We're a very project-driven organization, and this is just our annual way to give back to the community and say thanks. And so we bring in anybody that wants to come and help out and participate. On the 18th, it's actually Earth Day. We'll have the bouncy houses out there again, jet boat rides. You get to tour areas of the Willamette River, get to see where Claggett Creek actually enters into the Willamette. So a lot of people don't know where that happens. You'll see some nature tours. You get to experience the Arboretum. It'll start to be, I think it's already starting to bloom a little bit. Yeah. That's a big project the Rotary did over the last couple of years. I think there's been 86 trees that have been planted out there. Last year we did irrigation, so it's going to be very well taken care of in the next 4 or 5 years. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous out there. Our city staff will be out there on Saturday. I don't know what y'all are on the 18th. You going to be bringing the backhoe again? Yep. So it's awesome. The first year we did it, Robert was in the backhoe literally nonstop for the entire time, and we recognized the fact that we probably need to give him a break. Last year, Matt came out. Matt's one of the new park staff. His adventure actually happened after the event, but we're not going to talk about that. But it's a lot of fun, kids to go out there and actually operate the backhoe, and it's a cool event. And we're going to have more signage this year to increase the foot traffic. Free, anybody can come, spend as much time or as little time out there as you want. So keep an eye out for that April 18th. And we're looking at a couple other projects that are going to be happening, maybe not specifically within the parks, but we're looking at a big project potentially out at the northwest corner of Lockhaven River Road, so over by the Ballards by Chase Bank. So we're going to be looking at doing some clearing and stuff there, so just keep your ears to the ground on that. We're expecting probably 200 to 300 volunteers over the course of the day for that project. Trying to get rid of a lot of the invasives and stuff like that. Still haven't forgotten about the Wallace House project. Part of the Wallace House project is going to require a little more coordination, I think, with the police department, mostly to clear out any potential hazards for volunteers. Because of the homeless camps and other things that happen down there, there are potential hazards that exist. And so it's not off the radar, but it's something that I think we just have to plan a little bit more thoroughly. So I haven't given up on you guys yet, I promise. I'm still working on it. Yeah, aside from that, spring, it's beautiful. Robert, and it's cool to walk through a budget cycle discussion of projects and not have to complain about anything. So keep doing the good work. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other business?
So your next meeting then will be April 13th, Monday.
Oh.
Just before the Parks Tour.
And I'm just going to put this out there. Tomorrow night, the Planning Commission is meeting, and we're talking about urban chickens. So if you're interested in urban chickens, check it out. Come talk to us.
Urban with a U?
Yes. Urban chickens.
In what regards to?
So right now, the current language allows for 3 chickens within the urban growth boundary. We're considering language to increase that to 6 and possibly include ducks.
Which is to match Salem's.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So stay tuned if you're really interested. It could be quite the quack up.
Oh, no.
All right, can we be done?
When is the next person that reports to the city council?
See, none of that came out. I lost a whole bunch. I can tell you, hold on. Let's see, we're talking.
Totally for
6
reporting
chickens.
in March. I think it's coming.
Do you live by chickens?
No, I had chickens.
Is this,
Ducks are a lot
In fact, we had 5 chickens.
yeah, the March meeting, it's Dylan. Can you do it?
They were good.
What day is
And
it?
I didn't do the permit.
Hold on.
Should be next week, 16th.
They're no longer.
Yes,
They're no
it's the
longer
16th. Coming up this Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
At 7?
Who does the next one?
Yes, just hold on just a minute, let me write that down. Okay,
We won't
and
be
so
in
you want to
April
know
'cause
who
we're-
does it in April?
Yes.
We wouldn't be because of the parks
Right.
tour, right?
Parks tour,
Wow.
yeah, that we wouldn't necessarily need that, well, well, except we will have the band thing to report. But,
Clint's going to talk about that anyways.
yeah, well, Clay is up for April.
I am, and what is that for?
Yes, April, reporting at the council meeting. But I don't know that you'll have to report because we'll do the parks tour with the council, so they'll already know all that.
Who's up for me?
David Loudon, you want to know when you are?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
Oh, boy.
You are June and November.
Why don't you just send out the rest of the year and next time you send us something?
It's all on your roster. You all
I
have a
know
roster.
that, but
Yes,
Also, didn't you just send us that?
I
like, a
do. I
month or
send it
two
to you
ago?
all the time because
Yeah.
you ask me all these questions all the time.
Guess we
Does
need to
any-
start reading.
Yeah, I know. It would be helpful.
what's that?
Do you want me to resend it to everybody? Do y'all want a new roster?
Nope.
I did just send it to you because you had all your new parks on it.
Right.
And there's
Right.
several columns, and there's a column over there for when you report to council.
It's really helpful. You sent that in the email. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you. Clint. Stand adjourned at 7:25.
I got to pick my